would you just repeal it?
We'll look at that. We'll look at that setting as we reach that.
The batting practice Mitt Romney's been getting at Fox News did not prepare him for Bob Schieffer's major league pitching yesterday. And it wasn't as if Bob Schieffer was throwing curveballs.
You haven't been bashful about telling us where you want to cut taxes. When are you going to tell us where you're going to get the revenue? Which of the deductions are you going to be willing to eliminate? Which of the tax credits are you going to when are you going to be able to tell us that?
Well, we'll go through that process with Congress as to which of all the different deductions and exemptions.
But do you have any ideas now, like the home mortgage interest deduction, the various ones?
Well, Simpson Bowles went through a process of saying how they would be able to reach a setting where they had actually under their proposal even more revenue for the government with lower rates. So mathematically it's been proved to be possible. We can have lower rates, as I propose, that creates more growth, and we can limit deductions and exemptions.
Try as he might, Bob Schieffer could not get Romney to identify a single tax expenditure that Romney would eliminate or limit in any way. Not the mortgage deduction, not the charitable deduction, not the deduction for state and local taxes. And what was the Simpson-Bowles process for reaching Romney's stated goal of more revenue for the government with lower rates? What were they willing to do with tax expenditures? It's right here on page 2 of their report on tax reform. Eliminate all income tax expenditures. Joining me now are Ari Melber, a correspondent for The Nation and an MSNBC contributor, and Karen Finney, former DNC communications director and an MSNBC contributor. Karen, if Romney is embracing Simpson-Bowles, he is embracing an elimination of all charitable deductions. An elimination, not a reduction, elimination. He is embracing an elimination, complete elimination of your mortgage deduction, the single biggest deduction that American consumers take on their tax returns, and so on right down the line. The Simpson-Bowles eliminated every single one of them. And Romney is unwilling to say that he's in favor of elimination of even one, and then he pretends to say he's in favor of Simpson-Bowles.
Right. Well, remember he said that Simpson-Bowles shows that it's, quote unquote, possible, right? I mean, he's, by his own admission, he's not telling us where it's all going to come from. He says we'll just go through a process with Congress, and Simpson-Bowles kind of showed us that was possible. But, as we've talked about before on your show, this is one of a growing number of issues where he is not willing to talk specifics, like the immigration issue. Bob Schieffer asked a very fair, straightforward question, got a really lovely dodge/dance on, but not a real answer. I mean, this is the strategy that the Romney team, I think, is employing, which is play it safe. Don't answer questions with any specifics. Talk platitudes. Use the rhetoric. Say why Obama's bad. But if you don't ever give any specifics, you can't be accountable to those specifics.
Karen, I'm glad you broadened it out to that general question of he just won't answer a specific question. Let's watch Sam Stein trying to get him to answer a very simple question.
Does Governor Romney support the Lilly Ledbetter Act?
And we'll get back to you on that.
Now, Ari Melber, this comes back to this Romney campaign staff, which is getting away. I mean, its press has been amazingly flattering for such breathtaking incompetence as moments like that, and sending their robot onto Bob Schieffer's show without an answer to the most obvious question in the world: what would you do about what President Obama did yesterday? This staff doesn't know where Romney stands. Romney doesn't know where he stands. How far can they get before that becomes... And can the Obama campaign make that a larger image of Romney?
That's the question, right? Does this become a political vulnerability? You said it was political malpractice, how badly his staff operates. I would add...
But the general media lets them get away with this,
right,
without ever pointing this out as a problem that they have.
Right. And to echo what Karen Finney was saying, I would say this is a contempt for the democratic process, right? This is the idea that you can spend a year running for president, I put it in air quotes, but not actually doing what we have expected candidates to do from the beginning of American history, which is actually explain where they stand on the basic issues. And I'm reminded of the famous line that Mitt Romney said about his '94 Senate race, where he recalled that when he announced that he wanted to eliminate the education department, he was tagged as anti-education. And what he learned from that was, don't ever get into specifics about what you want to do. I think there are other things you could learn from that, like education education is a popular government program, basically. But he's taken that, and back to the fundraiser that you quoted earlier, at that fundraiser, he talked about eliminating or combining education in other departments and eliminating HUD, which his father used to run. So he would tell some of his donors about it in an off-the-record setting. He just won't tell us.
Karen, there's only two things I've heard him be specific about. He says he absolutely, surely, definitely wants to eliminate Obamacare. There's no talk there about, oh, well, I'll consult with Congress and see what they want to do, which is what he says about any tax question. And then the other thing is he definitely wants to raise, in effect, a national sales tax by putting tariffs on all Chinese goods coming into this country. Those are the only two specifics I've heard him say.
Well, that's right. But on Obamacare, what he won't say is, OK, so you're going to repeal it. And then what happens to all of the people who are the millions of people who currently are in the system and all of those people who were about to be phased into the system? He has no answer.
Karen, they moved to Massachusetts.
Oh, right.
And
that's
they live under Romney care. Or,
with
they get a fake
mandate.
address in Massachusetts from their cousin's house or something.
The one thing I would say to this, Lawrence, I mean, there's actually two things. One is what's really insulting about the lack of information and this lack of transparency from this candidate is then the right wing has the absolute nerve to defend what Neil Monroe did on Friday with President Obama as, quote unquote, tough journalism, right? Journalists ask questions. Well, then, you know what? Let's ask some tough questions of Mitt Romney, and let's hold him accountable for the fact that he is not providing answers.
Yeah, it doesn't take some kind of punk stuff, shouted at a candidate to show that Mitt Romney can't answer just the simplest of questions. There's Bob Schieffer, who plays a classic version of this game. Straight down the middle. Right. You can see it coming. Very fair question. Romney couldn't handle it.
Well, Fox and Friends is bad batting practice.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
And that's the thing, is we have a media here that thinks it's okay to go a year, literally a year, talking only to Fox News' political programs on the weekend. That's astounding. And if you want to be president, as you know, you have to actually speak to the White House press corps, which has members from print and TV outlets all over the country. So, again, you want to look like a president, you want to act like a president, you need to actually engage on ideas and engage the free press.
And now the White House press corps has crazy hecklers. Karen Finney and Ari Melber, thank you both very much for joining me tonight.
Thanks.
Coming up, one tax deduction that we know Mitt Romney will never want to eliminate. He actually used it on his tax return to deduct $77,000. Guess what it is? Little hint. It involves a horse. And it's in tonight's rewrite. And the author of the Vagina Monologues is here in a Last Word exclusive. Eve Ensler's play was performed on the steps of the Michigan State Capitol tonight by the state representative who was banned from the House for using the word vagina.